She didn't say it like a joke.
Not this time.
She looked me right in the eyes, held out the dress with a soft smile, and said, "You're prettier this way." And then she zipped me in. My name's Dylan. I'm 42, a warehouse logistics manager by day, a simple, quiet husband by night. I've always thought of myself as average height, average build, no wild hobbies, just steady routines and a deep love for my wife, Claire. We've been married 17 years. I'd always thought I knew her better than anyone else. But lately, I've been realizing she knows me better than I ever did. It started with a joke. Doesn't it always? A few weeks back, Claire came home from a girls' weekend trip with this little twinkle in her eye. She was holding a sleek bag from some boutique I didn't recognize. "I brought you something," she said, trying not to laugh. I was sitting on the couch watching reruns. "Yeah?" I asked, curious. She pulled out a silky mauve nightgown, lace along the hem, delicate spaghetti straps, the kind of thing she would normally wear, except smaller. Not her size. Definitely not my size either, or so I thought. "Try it on," she said playfully. "I dare you." I blinked. "You serious?" "Just for fun," she shrugged. "Nobody's here. It'll be our little secret." I laughed it off. I mean, it felt silly. I had no reason to say yes. But something about her grin, the mischievous, knowing kind of grin she wore when she'd planned something 3 steps ahead. I don't know. I didn't want to ruin the mood. So I did it. It felt ridiculous at first. I stepped into it, struggled with the straps, and even fumbled a bit when the satin clung to my legs. But Claire? She lit up like I'd just performed a magic trick. "Oh my gosh," she whispered. "You actually look good in that." I was about to laugh it off. Joke over, right? But then she guided me in front of the full-length mirror. And that's when something shifted. She stood behind me, resting her hands on my shoulders, tilting her head as if admiring her work. I saw a man in women's nightwear staring back at me, but for some reason, my eyes didn't see just embarrassment. They saw softness, calmness, something oddly comforting. And Claire? She looked so proud. "I always wondered," she said quietly, "what you'd look like if you let go a little."
I didn't know what to say to that. So I didn't say anything.
I just turned around and raised an eyebrow. "You always wondered?" She giggled. "Come on.
It's not a bad thing.
You look peaceful." That night, I changed back into my regular clothes, made dinner, and thought it was over. But it wasn't. The next night, there was another joke. A pair of smooth panties, folded neatly on my pillow. No explanation. Just a note that said, "You looked so calm yesterday. Let's try something else." I didn't ask questions. I just slipped them on under my pajamas. I told myself it was temporary. A funny phase. Something weird we'd laugh about years from now. But a week passed and the jokes didn't stop. Neither did her compliments. She began choosing outfits for me, softer colors, lighter fabrics, stretchy tops that weren't quite masculine, but not completely feminine either. "You don't have to do anything you don't want," she always said. "I just think you're starting to see yourself." And maybe she was right. At work, I was still the same Dylan. Steel-toed boots, clipboard in hand, shouting over forklifts and checking inventory. But at home, I was becoming someone else. Someone quieter, more graceful. Claire had started calling me a softer version of my name. And somehow I didn't hate it. One Saturday, while we were home alone, she sat me down at her vanity. "No pressure," she whispered, "but I think you're ready for this." She opened the drawer and pulled out her makeup kit. I froze. "Claire, it's okay," she smiled. "I'll do it. Just trust me." And I did. She brushed my brows, dabbed foundation on my cheeks, carefully lined my lips with a shade of soft coral that I never would have picked on my own. When she turned the mirror toward me, I barely recognized the reflection. Not because it was shocking, because it was gentle. It felt oddly right. "See?" she said, brushing a strand of my hair behind my ear. "Prettier this way." Those words stuck. From that day forward, things weren't the same. She began dressing me herself. At first, it was subtle. Claire didn't force anything, not directly. She would lay things out on the bed before I got out of the shower. Soft camisoles, silky shorts, a pale robe instead of my usual fleece. Always with that same calm voice when I hesitated. You don't have to, Dylan. But you seemed so relaxed yesterday. And the truth was I did. I felt different. Lighter, somehow. Like the edge I always carried around had dulled. At work, I was still the boss, barking orders and keeping everything running on schedule. But at home, under Claire's gaze, I began to melt into someone else. She gave me lotion to use, then a light scent. You don't have to shave, she said one evening, running her fingers across my legs, but wouldn't it feel even smoother if you did? The next day, I stood in the bathroom with a fresh razor in hand, staring down at my foamy calves, heart racing like I was doing something forbidden. By the time I rinsed off, my skin looked pale and vulnerable. And when Claire saw me that night, her eyes lit up. You really did it, she whispered. My beautiful girl. I didn't even correct her. I just nodded. The turning point came the day she brought home the wig. She didn't present it with a smile or a laugh this time. There was no joke, just quiet seriousness. I saw this, and I thought of you, she said gently. It's not too flashy. Brown, like your natural hair color. Just longer.
Softer.
I took the box from her hands, my pulse thudding. I didn't say anything. I just opened it, staring down at the shiny strands. I felt dizzy, like I was balancing on the edge of something I couldn't take back. Why are you doing this? I finally asked. Claire stepped closer and cupped my face. Because I see you, Dylan. I see the way you look at yourself now. You never gave yourself permission to soften. But I'm giving you that space. I'm not taking your manhood, I'm helping you find your peace. I blinked fast. But I'm your husband. You still are, she smiled. Just in a different way now. I slipped the wig on that night. She helped adjust it, teased the bangs into shape, and added a clip to the side. When I looked in the mirror, I saw someone who wasn't quite Dylan anymore. Not just Dee. Something in between. Someone becoming. And Claire? She didn't just approve, she seemed fulfilled. From then on, she became different. Not cruel. Not overbearing. But confident. Purposeful. She stopped asking if I wanted to wear what she laid out. She started telling me, this goes with a new skirt. Here, use this tone of lipstick, it suits your cheekbones. Stand straighter, Dee. Shoulders back. That's it. I'd nod. I'd obey. Not because I was weak, but because I was starting to feel safe. Like I didn't have to pretend anymore. Like she was lifting something heavy off me that I'd been carrying for years without even realizing it. It wasn't just clothes. It was posture.
Voice.
Walk. Let your hips move, she said one day, coaching me down the hallway like a model instructor. Don't stomp.
Glide.
Think of elegance, not dominance. Hold your hands gently like this. Relax your wrists. I practiced when she wasn't watching. In the bathroom. At night. On lunch breaks, I'd sit in the car and try on the way I crossed my legs, folded my hands, or tilted my head. It became a quiet obsession, this new self I was trying to unlock. Then came the photo. Claire snapped it one Sunday afternoon while I was helping her fold laundry, dressed in one of the more feminine blouses she'd chosen. My wig brushed smooth, my makeup soft and warm.
She didn't ask.
She just took the photo, looked at it, and smiled. You're glowing, she said. You don't even see it, do you? I took her phone and stared at the picture. I barely recognized myself. But for once, I didn't feel ashamed. She started calling me her pretty one. And I started believing her. One night, while we were curled up in bed, she stroked my shoulder and whispered, Do you like the way I dress you? I didn't speak. I just nodded. She kissed my temple. Good girl. My breath hitched. That was the first time she'd called me that. And the strange part? It made my chest flutter in a way I couldn't explain. From that night on, she rarely called me Dylan. Only when the outside world required it. At home, in our space, I was her girl. She'd slip her arm around me in the kitchen and whisper, You move like you were always meant to be this way. One afternoon, I came home to find a garment bag hanging on the bedroom door. A note was pinned to it. Put this on. I'll do your makeup after. Inside was a flowing sundress light peach, delicate straps, floral embroidery near the hem. It was beautiful,
Soft.
feminine, and the zipper was already half down, like it had been waiting for me. I hesitated, but only for a moment, and when I stepped out in it, barefoot and nervous, Claire was waiting at the vanity with brushes in her hand. She didn't even blink. She just smiled like she knew this would happen all along. And she said, "Prettier this way." Every single day. The days turned into weeks. I couldn't quite say when the balance tipped, but one morning, I realized I hadn't worn men's clothes in nearly 10 days. My voice was softer too, not by effort, but by habit. I moved differently, thought differently. And Claire? She noticed every detail, praised every change. "You're glowing more now than when we got married," she whispered one night, brushing my hair as I sat at her feet. "I think this version of you is who I fell in love with all along." That sentence hit deeper than she probably meant it to. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Was this who I really was? Or had I become her reflection, shaped and polished by her quiet power? I didn't resist it. In fact, I leaned in harder. Claire enrolled me in a virtual etiquette workshop, one aimed at refined femininity. I thought it was just for fun, something quirky she'd found. But when the class started and I saw myself on camera in soft lighting, in a blouse she'd chosen, lips lightly glossed, the compliments from strangers made something inside me bloom. They didn't know who I had been.
They only saw who I was now.
One woman typed in the chat, "You're so graceful. I love your energy." I stared at it for a long time. I don't think anyone had ever called me graceful. Later that night, Claire poured us glasses of wine and sat me down on the couch. Her smile was gentle, but her tone had shifted again. More assertive, more commanding. "I want to try something new with you," she said. I waited. "I want us to rewrite things a little. If you're truly mine, then I want the world to see that too. Not just in private." I swallowed. "What do you mean?" She reached into the side table drawer and handed me a velvet box. I opened it, half expecting jewelry. But it wasn't. Inside was a new ID card. My picture, softer and styled. A different name printed at the bottom.
Danielle.
My breath caught. I looked up at her, wide-eyed. "You had this made?" She nodded. "You don't have to use it. Not yet. But you could. Whenever you're ready. And when you are, I'll be right beside you." I didn't say anything.
I just held the card to my chest.
The name didn't feel wrong. It felt like home. The next day, she had me practice introducing myself as Danielle. At first, I stammered. The name got caught in my throat. But she corrected me, gently, over and over. By the end of the week, I said it with a smile. Claire began referring to me as her wife at home. And once, even in front of friends. It was a casual dinner, her two closest girlfriends and their husbands. We had never mixed the sides like that before. I was nervous, sure they'd notice something was off. But when I stepped out in the soft wrap dress Claire chose, heels clicking faintly, her friends just lit up. "You look amazing," one said warmly. I didn't know Claire had such a stylish partner. I felt the blood rush to my face. Claire squeezed my hand under the table. After they left, she whispered in my ear,
"See?
You didn't just pass. You dazzled." Things changed after that. She stopped asking. She simply prepared. A daily outfit, accessories,
Shoes.
foundation matched to perfection. Each morning was a new role to step into, always a little bolder, always a little more hers. One Saturday morning, I found a schedule posted on the fridge. Danielle's week. Each day listed with tasks. Practice voice for 20 minutes. Walk in heels for 30. Makeup trial at 6 p.m. Feminine handwriting practice. Grocery run, dressed, with Claire. I stared at it for a long time. When I looked at Claire, she only said, "It's good to have structure. You're becoming someone beautiful. That deserves care." I couldn't argue, because I was becoming. More than that, I liked the structure. The rhythm of it. The way it guided me without question. Each box I checked off made me feel more real. It wasn't just a game anymore. This was who I was waking up as, living as, smiling as. But then, one night something shifted. I woke up, and she wasn't in bed. I followed the light to the bathroom, only to hear her speaking quietly on the phone. No, she's coming along faster than I thought. Honestly, she's already better at this than I ever imagined. I froze. She said she. She wasn't talking about a costume. She wasn't talking about a game. She meant me. When I stepped into the doorway, she turned and saw the look on my face. I didn't mean to hide it, she said. I just didn't want to pressure you. I sat down on the edge of the tub. So, this was always the plan? She knelt in front of me, hands gently holding mine.
No.
The plan was just to help you relax. But when I saw who you really were, I couldn't stop. You are so beautiful, Danielle.
Inside and out.
I didn't make you this way. I just showed you who you've always been. The silence stretched between us. And then I asked, so what now? She kissed the back of my hand. Now, she said, you get ready for your fitting. Your formal dress is almost ready. My what? For the vow renewal. She smiled wider. You're going to stand beside me again, but this time, as the wife you were always meant to be. I stared at her. A vow renewal? I hadn't even realized I'd let go of who I was until that moment. Somewhere between the blouses, the makeup lessons, the soft voice training, I had slowly unraveled the man I once knew and stitched something new in his place.
But now?
Now she wanted to marry that version of me. Not hide it. Celebrate it. Claire squeezed my hands gently. You don't have to say yes, she said. But I want this. I want you. The whole you. Not just behind closed doors.
Not just as my quiet secret.
I want to walk down the aisle beside the beautiful woman I've helped you become. I felt the tears burning before I even realized they were there. But what will people think? I whispered. She smiled softly. Let them think what they want. I know who you are. And so do you. The next week passed in a blur. There were fitting soft satin, lace details, delicate heels I wasn't sure I could walk in. Claire picked a gown that shimmered in the light, hugging just enough, flowing just right. She made no compromises. She wanted her bride to look stunning. Unapologetically stunning. She arranged a photographer.
A small ceremony.
Just us and a handful of close friends who had already started calling me Danielle, without hesitation. The morning of the renewal, I stood in front of the mirror. The reflection staring back didn't look like a man in disguise. She looked real. Nervous, but real. My hands trembled as I adjusted the necklace Claire had chosen for me, silver, delicate, with a small heart pendant. A knock on the door. Claire peeked in, holding a bouquet. You ready? She asked. I nodded, barely holding it together. The music played softly as I stepped into the backyard where the ceremony was set. Candles glowed, chairs lined up neatly. Claire stood beneath the arch, radiant, confident, waiting. As I reached her, she whispered, You're breathtaking. The officiant smiled. We are gathered here to celebrate a renewal not just of vows, but of identity, of love, and of courage. I don't remember every word that was said, but I remember what I felt. When it was time to speak, Claire took my hands and looked me in the eyes. I married you once, thinking I knew everything about you, she said. But now I see you more clearly than ever. Danielle, I love who you are. I love who you're becoming. And I vow to stand by your side not just as your partner, but as the woman who helped you find the freedom to be yourself. Then it was my turn. My voice trembled, but I spoke from a place deeper than I'd ever reached before. I didn't know who I was when we met. I didn't know how to be soft or honest or whole. But you did. You saw something in me even I didn't believe in. And now, because of you, I do. I vow to walk beside you not as who I thought I had to be, but as the woman I choose to be. There wasn't a dry eye in the yard. And when she kissed me, the world blurred into a warm, brilliant hum. Later that night, as we lay together beneath soft sheets, Claire whispered into the darkness, You know what this means now, don't you? I turned to her, confused. What? She smiled, tracing my collarbone with her fingertips. There's no going back. My heart raced. I know, I said. And I meant it. But just as I closed my eyes, content and whole, I heard the ping of a new message on her phone. She reached for it. Her smile shifted. What is it? I asked. She hesitated, then handed me the screen. Message from Lila. Tell her the truth yet? She deserves to know what you promised me before this all started. I stared at the screen, my pulse thudding. Claire slowly pulled her hand back. Danielle, there's something I haven't told you. I sat up. What do you mean? She took a deep breath. This wasn't just about us. Not entirely. I made a deal. Before all this started. With someone who knew you better than I did. I felt the ground shift beneath me. What kind of deal? She looked down, ashamed. She asked me to help you transform. Not just for fun. Not just for us. But for her. A cold chill slid down my spine. Who is she? Claire looked up at me, eyes wide and glassy. She said she was your sister. I couldn't speak. The room felt suddenly colder, like the warmth of our ceremony had vanished the moment I read that message. My sister? Lila? I hadn't heard from her in years after we drifted apart following a terrible argument that ended with me storming out and never looking back. But now, according to Claire, she was the one who started all this? You need to explain, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Claire sat on the edge of the bed, pulling the blanket around her like it might shield her from my reaction. I didn't mean for it to go this far without telling you, she said. But when Lila came to me, she told me she was worried. She said she saw something in you, something you were too afraid to admit. She believed if you had a safe place to explore, you'd come alive. So, you agreed to turn me into this? I asked, motioning to the soft nightgown I hadn't even realized I was still wearing, to the delicate manicure that was already second nature. Claire didn't look away.
Yes.
I agreed to help. But I didn't fake anything. I love you. Everything that grew between us, it's real. But the start of it came from her. And I thought she'd let it go once she saw how happy you were. But now, I think she wants something more. What does she want? I asked. Before Claire could answer, my phone lit up. This time, the message was for me. Message from Lila. Now that you're finally listening, meet me tomorrow. Alone. You'll find out why this was never just about Claire or you. Attached was an address. Downtown. A name I didn't recognize. Maison Étoile. I sat back, heart pounding. What is this place? I asked. Claire frowned. I don't know. She never mentioned it. I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying every moment of the past months. Every compliment. Every gentle push Claire had given me. Every time I'd been encouraged to wear something softer, speak more gently, walk more gracefully. Had Lila orchestrated it all like some hidden puppeteer? And if so, why? The next morning, I dressed carefully. I didn't want to, but I couldn't help myself. My closet had changed. My choices had changed. The jeans and button-ups were long gone. Now it was skirts, flowing blouses, tights, and delicate flats. I settled on a powder blue dress with short sleeves and a belt that cinched gently at the waist. It wasn't about hiding anymore. It was me now, whether I liked it or not. Claire stood at the door as I grabbed my purse. Be careful, she said, eyes full of worry. I nodded, then stepped out into the morning light. I wasn't sure what I expected from a place called Maison Étoile. Maybe some kind of high-end cafe or boutique. But when I arrived at the address, my breath caught. It wasn't a store.
It was a salon.
No, not just a salon, a transformation studio. The kind with gold-trimmed doors, privacy blinds pulled low, and an air of exclusivity that said, if you know, you know. I stepped inside, nerves twisted in my stomach. The scent of perfume and fresh linen surrounded me. A woman in a sleek gray dress greeted me from behind a white counter. Danielle? She asked, as though that name had always belonged to me. I hesitated, then nodded. She smiled. She's waiting for you. She led me through a narrow hallway lined with soft lights and long mirrors. I caught glimpses of myself, my hair curled slightly from humidity, the blue dress moving with each uncertain step. I looked so composed. So intentional. But inside I was shaking. She stopped in front of a frosted glass door and gave a gentle knock. A voice inside responded instantly. Send her in. The door opened, and there she was. Lila. My sister stood in front of a vanity, adjusting her earrings. She looked so different, elegant, composed, like someone who had planned this moment for months. Her eyes met mine in the mirror. You came, she said simply. I stood frozen. You have 5 minutes to explain before I walk out that door. Lila turned, folding her arms. I don't need 5. I just need you to listen. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. Do you remember what you said to me 5 years ago? The day we stopped speaking? My jaw tightened. I don't remember the words. You said I needed to stop pretending to be someone I wasn't. That I was living a fantasy, that no one would ever take me seriously acting like that. Her voice trembled, not with anger, but something deeper. I was wearing a dress for the first time in public. And you humiliated me. I blinked. It came back in flashes. The argument. The pain on her face. My words meant to protect, maybe, but harsh, cruel even. You were scared, she said. Scared of what people would think of me, but also scared of what it meant about you. Because I saw it even then. How your eyes followed the hem of a dress. How you sat straighter when someone complimented you on being gentle. How the world wanted you to be a man, but you never quite wanted to play that role. My stomach twisted. You're saying this was all revenge? She laughed softly. Not revenge. Redemption. For both of us. I didn't want to hurt you, I wanted to free you. And Claire, she helped because she saw what I saw. And because she loves you enough to do something most people wouldn't dare. Let you change. I couldn't speak. I just stood there, my mind reeling. You're beautiful now, Lila said. And whether you stay this way or not is your choice. But at least now you have that choice. She reached out and handed me a slim envelope. What's this? An appointment. If you open it, you're saying yes to finding out who you really are. If you throw it away, no one will stop you.
Not me.
Not Claire. But if you don't make a choice, someone else will eventually make it for you. I held it in both hands like it might explode. It was small, pale pink, sealed with a golden sticker. My name, Danielle, was handwritten across the front in delicate cursive.
Not Dan.
Not even Danny. Just
Danielle.
And the scariest part? It felt right. Lila watched me, her expression unreadable. Not pushing, not manipulating, just waiting. I sat down slowly on the nearby velvet stool and broke the seal. Inside was a single folded card. At the top, in the same careful handwriting, were the words, "A day for her." Below that, full styling session, maison étoile. Photography, wardrobe, coaching, afternoon tea. Your image will be immortalized. Your story begins here. There was a time and date printed for tomorrow. And beneath it, scribbled in a smaller note. Your choice. No pressure. But if you say yes, wear the lavender dress in the wardrobe. My mouth went dry. You planned this far in advance? Lila gave a small nod. I planned it when I realized who you were really meant to be. I knew you'd resist at first. But I also knew you'd reach a point where you couldn't ignore the truth anymore. I don't even know what the truth is, I said. Lila stepped closer and gently brushed my curled hair back behind my ear. That's what tomorrow is for. I walked out of maison étoile in a daze. Back home, Claire was waiting, seated on the sofa, fingers nervously twisting the edge of a pillow. When she saw me, she stood up quickly. You saw her? I nodded and held up the envelope. Now open. She gave me this. Claire took it, scanned the contents, and then looked back at me. Her expression was unreadable. Are you going? I don't know yet. She walked closer, reaching out, then hesitated. You don't have to do it for me. Or Lila. Or anyone. But I'll say this, Danny, she looked me in the eyes. You've never glowed like you have these past few months. And whether you meant to or not, the woman in front of me now, she's radiant. I felt something inside me crack. Maybe it was fear. Or maybe it was the final resistance slipping away. That night, I slept restlessly. The lavender dress Lila had mentioned was hanging neatly in the closet, tagged and waiting. I'd never seen it before. It must have been slipped in during all the wardrobe changes. It shimmered faintly in the dark, like it knew it was meant to be worn. By morning, my hands moved on their own. I bathed, dried my hair, applied a touch of makeup. The eyeliner came easily now. The lipstick didn't feel foreign anymore. When I finally slipped into the dress, it hugged me in a way that felt like coming home. Claire appeared in the doorway, her eyes glassy. "You're beautiful," she whispered. I didn't reply, because I didn't feel like I was pretending anymore.